know he's right for us to stand his house anymore. I think he's right.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2016 found footage horror film Encounter. A film that is written and directed by Susanna O'Brien, and it stars Justin Arnold, Andrea Nelson and Don Scribner. Now this film focuses on a couple of newlyweds, Ted and Lauren, played by Justin Arnold and Andrea Nelson. Now Ted is wanting to capture footage of orbs. He's wanting to do like this experimental footage of orbs, trying to prove or disprove that they are proof of the paranormal sort of thing. Now because they're newlyweds, are short on money, so he ends up renting some accommodation for a month at like this farmhouse that is run by Don Scribner's character Jim. So they basically have to share this accommodation with Jim. So he sets up all his cameras around this farmhouse in order to try and catch some orbs. And then in the days that follow, a lot of strange things start happening. Initially focused mainly around their landlord Jim, and then it focuses heavily on the newlyweds. Right, what are my thoughts on Encounter? Well, this is another one of those found footage films that Leo sent me from Geek Legion of Doom. Thank you, Leo. And the title of it that was sent to me was American Poltergeist 3, because it was a German Blu-ray, I believe it was. But the actual like UK title of it, or certainly US title of it anyway, was Encounter. Which makes more sense actually when you watch the film. American Poltergeist 3 has actually very little to do with the film. An Encounter is a much more appropriate title, I think, certainly anyway. Now what are my thoughts on Encounter? Well, as you know, if you are a follower of my content, you know I'm a huge fan of found footage. So I'm always interested in checking any found footage film out, really, regardless of the budget. It just so happens that the majority of found footage films are low budget for the most part, and this one's no exception. Yes, it is low budget. The only three characters really that we see on screen for the most of the film is the three main characters, Ted, Lauren and Jim. And later on in the film there's a couple of people being interviewed, etc. That are in the film as well. So it's very, very low budget, but you can make that work for you in found footage. And this one actually ticks a lot of found footage boxes. It's a very, very slow build up, too slow you could argue at times. But then when it all kicks off in the last 15-20 minutes, it's a nice payoff. I'm not going to lie, I definitely enjoyed the last quarter of this film. It ticked a lot of boxes for me. But the problem I think as well with this film is the slow periods of the film force you to focus on the negatives, and there are some negatives, and it raises a lot of questions. It certainly did for me. Now, even though this guy's setting up cameras all around this farmhouse to try and capture everything, there are quite a few scenes in this film that are clearly not being filmed on any cameras, either handheld or fixed cameras that he's put up. There are times in this film where it's clear that there's someone filming it, a cameraman. So it's not 100% found footage kind of material here, but it falls in that category because much of the footage that they do show is from like the cameras that he has set up around the farmhouse and handhelds that they carry around, but not all of it. There's other things in this film in regards to, clearly this landlord Jim knows that things are going on here at this farmhouse, and yet he still allows them to stay with him. It doesn't seem like he has any ulterior motive for them to be there, to help him in regards to the situation that he's in, which is made clear in the film. It seemed like, why would you draw somebody into a dangerous situation that you're in? I'm not sure it fully explained that, and if it did, I certainly missed it. There's a scene where the character, I'm reluctant to say that because it might spoil it, but I'm not going to say who it is. There's a scene where there's a character that hangs themselves in the film. And it happens too quickly, in a sense of, you see this character on one of the cameras that have been set start to try and hang themselves, and they're literally at the door trying to break it down, and then when they break it down, it is is dead on the floor, if you like, sort of thing, and it seemed to have happened too quickly. To me, a little bit nitpicky, I know. But yeah, it leaves you kind of with lots of questions, this film, which sometimes I don't actually mind with these films. There are moments in this film where things happen and you just think, well, just go, just leave. But you could argue they certainly explain that at the end of the film. Maybe they realise this because at the end of the film there's a sequence of characters being interviewed in regards to their experiences, similar experiences, and one of them explains that the phenomenon follows them wherever they go. So that could explain it, I suppose. But for me, some of the things that were happening in this farmhouse, you wouldn't have that knowledge at the point. You'd just leave. But I think this is actually a slightly above average found footage film. Ticked a lot of boxes for me. I really enjoyed the ending of it. Which, you know, if you get a strong ending to a found footage film, it kind of elevates the rest of it. So I'm actually going to give this one a 6 out of 10. You could do far worse than checking this one out. Just make sure that you get the title right. It's either American Poltergeist 3 or Encounter. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'll be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.